my name is Prayag Amin. I'm from the United States and I've come to India for Miyawaki style plantations. My background is in molecular and cellular biology and specialized chemistry. I am mostly doing these private projects to better the environment and to give back to the community. This project began in 2016 when Milan Shroff decided he did not want to live outside a garbage pit, and he began cleaning the pit of all of its dumping ground rubbish. In 2017, he began planting the trees. 700 trees were planted. As these trees were planted, he ran into many challenges and difficulties. The trees were damaged by the livestock that would roam the area. The meal guy would jump over the fence and eat the trees. The monkeys would come and pick the leaves, so many of them perished. The Miyawaki style forestry is a high density polyculture, and this is accomplished by planting different types of plants in very close proximity. And they should be developing 4 types of heights. There should be a canopy layer, a large tree layer, a small tree layer, and a ground layer. And because of this, the sunlight comes through the canopy and all the plants compete with each other for the sunlight, and they grow up very similar to what you see in a natural forest. And because of the high density, underground, the roots begin to join at a very young age. And because of this, the trees and all the plants, they share resources. The largest tree that will grow, it could be a badam, it could be a neem, it could be eucalyptus. It will reach the water table first. And because it's joined to all the trees in the jungle, in the forest, it will pull up the water and share it with all its family. This competition and the sharing is a 80-year-old Japanese technology, and it is now grown into a worldwide phenomenon. It is slowly being done in almost every country in the world. And this is very, very important because we have lost most of our native forests in large portions of the world. And to bring back these native jungles can be done very, very quickly in a 10-year span, whereas a native jungle done by nature takes about 30 years. Some trees like extra water, some trees like extra dryness, some trees like extra heat, some trees like extra cold. So because of this, they share all this together, and they find an even balance, very, very much like a 100-year-old jungle. And in a 30-year span, the trees reach a size where it will look like a 100-year jungle. The selections were primarily based on fruits, flowers, medicines, hardwoods, and non-poisonous plants. This location is Ahmedabad, Gujarat. 1 year ago, I took on a second project where I planted 5,000 trees at my Nanaji's farmhouse in Sandana. It was a space of 1,200 meters and it was accomplished in 6 days with 8 workers. And I again found great success. This area has a lot of monkeys, and even with the monkeys arriving to damage the trees, we still had about an 80% survival to date. At that point, Milan Shroff approached me to take on another project on this plot of land that I'm currently at. We began the proper planning of the project, which was to clean the entire plot and make sure that a proper fence was built so that nothing could encroach on the land and prevent all the trees from flourishing. This is a very large piece of land, so we required 15 to 17,000 trees. This was a massive undertaking. We had a team, a small team of 5 people, and we would embark every morning for 3 rounds of gaining the trees. 600 to 800 trees would be filled per round, and I would personally stack the trees myself, so all the trees had my hands on them as a bit of a blessing. I also wanted to teach the workers, as I'd learned over the last few years, on how to stack the trees, which I'd seen the government nursery workers working very diligently, and so that the trees would have minimal damage. And like this, I trained my team to very properly stack the plants so that not a single plant would be damaged in transit. Slowly and steadily we acquired about 10,000 plants. We thought this would be enough. Eventually we would realize this was not enough. So at this point the land needed to be prepared, and the land was still very much a dumping ground. So all of the rocks, the bricks, the trash needed to be removed. And so we assembled a team, we as in myself and Pritham Bhai Thakur. This took a very long time, much longer than expected, because the whole ground was filled with bricks. Maybe 10 days went into just preparing one plot of land. And after this large, long endeavor was complete, we added manure, about 40 tons of manure in this first plot, and then another 100, 150 tons of soil. And then those were also mixed, distributed by hand and mixed with the tractor cultivator attachment. It was beginning to sound very nice, because as the cultivator moves through the plot, it was for weeks, it was making the sound krak, 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 with hitting the bricks and the massive stones. There must have been cement blocks this big. And at that point, we knew that the land was ready for planting. We began planting. We wanted to finish the planting before the rains arrived, so that our efforts would not go in waste and we would not have to provide thousands of liters, tens of thousands of liters of water, rather than the free water that would come during the rainy season. So we accomplished our planting on time. At this point, we had a team of 20 people helping us with the planting. So we planted an initial middle strip, and we had this very, very good strategy of putting half the team on one side and half the team on the other, and we had them compete against each other in a race on who would complete their section first. And they were very enthusiastic and working very hard on winning the race, and there was no reward, but they were having a very good time, laughing and planting the trees very diligently. And then this is the smaller plot. So we still had the challenge of prepping the land in the second plot, and distributing the manure and distributing all the soil and planting all the trees. We ran into our biggest challenge at this point. The rains had come, and the soil was extremely waterlogged. So at this point the tractor could not go into the field, and everything needed to be done by hand. And the rains were coming non-stop, as in the field was completely flooded. If you were walking, you'd be up to knee-high in the mud, in the kathar, and it was not beneficial to anyone's health. So we continued, we waited, we were blessed with a few dry days, and we got the second tractor, and on the dry days we completed removing of the rocks. Everything was at that point complete. The land was prepared. And the next challenge was beginning the planting, but once again the rains came. So once again the water was logged. But the workers and the whole team, the whole core team, wanted to complete the project. So at this point, rain or shine, we were working to make sure that all the trees were planted and happily growing. Slowly and steadily we completed the second plot, and we have a very, very high success rate. All of the roots have stuck because we completed the project on the exact time schedule that we needed. At this point, we made a new decision to do a third plot. At this point, for the first time, we ran out of plants, because to complete a third plot, we required another 5,000 plants. And now this is very late in the season, and I was getting the plants from government nurseries primarily, and to get the plants in the late season was very difficult. So luckily I have I was able to make some very good contacts because of this very large service that we've been doing. The government was willing to help me in the number of plants I required, which is in general not possible because they're already planning for the next year. And they were able to provide another 6,000 trees to me and because of this we were able to accomplish a third plot. And the third plot was so that both sides, all three sides of the road, would be covered in greenery. So this initial effort would not go to waste in one area being a trash pit and the other areas being greenery. Between the three plots there is about 2 acres of space, and 17,000 trees have been planted, different types of trees, different types of plants.
હા, હું પ્રીતમભાઈ અને કોબાથી આવું અને મજૂર લાયા ભેગા કર્યા બરાબર, અને સવારે વહેલા લઈને આવી જતા હતા, આ જાળો ઊભા કરાયા. હા, આ બધા અમારા ઘણા, એટલે આમ આજુબાજુનો પાડોશી બધા છે. પહેલાં તો બહુ બધું પૂરણ જ હતું કન્સ્ટ્રક્શનનું, અને પછી મજૂર લાયા ને એ બધું બહાર કઢાય, ટ્રેક્ટર મજૂરોને બધું વેણતા હતા ને બહાર લઈને ફેંકતા હતા ને આવું બધું કર્યું. પછી ઝાડ લાયા, ખાતર અને બધું. પરાગભાઈ જોડે બહુ મજા આવી, અને પરાગભાઈ જોડે શીખવા બી ઘણું મળ્યું, અને એમને બહુ સપોર્ટ કર્યો આપણને. એટલે
હેલો, મારું નામ ગોરધન રેબારી છે. આઈ એમ ફોર ઇસ્પેક ઇન્ડિયા. મિલિંદ સર સાથે હું 10-12 વર્ષથી છું એમની જોડે. આ બધું જાળવાનું ને એમને બહુ જ ગમે છે એકચ્યુઅલી, એટલે આ બધું ફેન્સ કરાયું, પછી આ બધું માટી ચેન્જ કરાયું, પછી આ નવા ઝાડવા લગાયા. આ બધું એમને વૃક્ષારોપણનું બહુ જ ગમે છે આવી રીતે, એટલે આ બધું કર્યું અમે.